This is an iHeart podcast.
Hey, good drivers. Yeah, we're talking to you, the ones who don't speed, the ones who avoid those fender benders, and who always use their turn signal. Congratulations, you're a better driver, and that means you could get better rates with Root Insurance. It's time to stop paying for other people's bad driving habits. You know, like the ones who cut you off just to slam on their brakes. Or the lead foot speeding to work every day. With Root Insurance, you'll get a quote based primarily on your driving. Just download the Root app, drive around like you normally would for a couple of weeks, and boom, you'll get a quote that actually makes sense. It's that easy. Root, because better drivers deserve better rates. Download the Root app today and see how much you could save. That's Root Insurance. Terms and conditions apply. Subject to underwriting review. See root.com for details.
Every case that is a cold case that has DNA right now in a backlog will be identified in our lifetime.
On the new podcast, America's Crime Lab, every case has a story to tell, and the DNA holds the truth.
He never thought he was going to get caught. And I just looked at my computer screen. I was just like, gotcha.
This technology is already solving so many cases.
Listen to America's Crime Lab on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, from Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month we're talking about Maritime Madams. Whether through scientific study, aquatic exploration, or legendary prowess, these women harness the power of the bodies of water that cover our Earth. Today we're meeting a woman who never let limitations, societal or scientific, keep her from plunging into the unknown. With her brushes and paints, she captured the ocean's most magical, monstrous, and mysterious creatures. Let's talk about Elsa Bostelmann. Elsa Bostelmann was born in 1882 in Germany. Her early years included education at several prestigious schools, where she studied classical drawing. She attended the University of Leipzig and received a gold medal for her artistic excellence in drawing at the Grand Ducal Academy in Weimar. She also trained under the greats, including Russian artist Sascha Schneider and German painter Ludwig von Hoffmann. Her skill was unmistakable. She was a painter of detail and drama, with a talent for translating the natural world onto the canvas with accuracy and precision. In 1909, Elsa married American cellist Monroe Bostelmann. The couple immigrated to the United States and had one daughter. After becoming a mother, Elsa gave up painting. Monroe, interested in trying his hand in farming, convinced Elsa to move their family to Texas. But farming was hard, back-breaking work, and likely took a serious toll on Monroe's health. He died in 1920 at just 40 years old. Left alone with her young daughter, Elsa needed work and an income to support their small family, but she also wanted purpose. During her years of hiatus from making art, she'd developed a fascination with natural history. She wanted to paint the life forms she'd grown fond of studying, the kind that crawled, darted, and shimmered in the corners of the natural world. When she heard about a daring ocean expedition backed by the National Geographic Society and led by famed explorer William Beebe, she saw her opportunity. At almost 50 years old, Elsa allegedly marched right up to the New York Zoological Society and made her pitch. She wanted to be Beebe's expedition artist. Beebe was impressed by her lively accuracy and bold use of color, which stayed true to the shapes of what she painted. He hired her as the scientific artist for the expedition, making Elsa an official member of the Department of Tropical Research. In 1930, Elsa traveled to Bermuda to the remote Nonsuch Island research station. There, Beebe and his engineer prepared to descend into the deep ocean in something called the bathysphere, a round steel submersible just big enough to fit the two men. Beebe would descend into the ocean depths, tethered to the ship by cable and connected to Elsa via telephone. As he sank hundreds of meters below the surface, Beebe would describe what he was seeing through a small porthole in as much detail as possible. Elsa would listen intently and sketch the strange creatures his words evoked. When he surfaced, they would come together to refine and perfect the details of her works in progress, talking through things like size, color, and proportions. Elsa would get to work with her paints and capture every glowing fin, translucent scale, and toothy jawline. Beebe provided the memory. Elsa gave it form. She transformed his impressions into brilliant illustrations of aquatic life. The ocean was her muse, but even as she marveled at its beauty, she mourned its casualties. When Beebe's team brought specimens up, Elsa worked quickly to paint them before their colors faded. Under the microscope, they revealed details too fine for the naked eye. But they had to die to be scientifically observed, and Elsa was saddened by this involuntary sacrifice. She once wrote, "The fish have made a long journey up to my table, and far from their home in eternal night, they have found here an unsought destiny." Instead of continuing to trade life for science, Elsa decided she would go down below the surface to see these creatures for herself. Wearing sneakers, a red bathing suit, and a copper diving helmet weighing a whopping 16 pounds, she descended into the underwater realm. Her hands shook as she gripped the long metal ladder. She climbed down, down, down until her feet hit the soft sand of the ocean. The ocean's surface shimmered 30 feet above her like a ceiling of light. The bottom of the ocean was still and yet full of life. She called it a submarine fairyland. Painting underwater came with its challenges. Elsa had to do a bit of trial and error to figure it out. First, she tried sketching on an engraver's plate, but the water pressure made her hand too sluggish, and she couldn't bend her head without cutting off her air supply. Next, she tried diving down with a canvas tucked under her arm and paintbrushes tied to a wash tub that she used as a palette for her paints. This didn't work because, in order to paint, she had to put all of her supplies on the ocean floor and uncomfortably kneel over them. Eventually, Elsa perfected her method, a canvas tied to a music stand that was lowered down by rope from the boat, and a lead-laden palette for her paints with the brushes tied to the handle. She painted what she saw in bold, simple strokes, capturing the essential colors of her subject before resurfacing. Later, Elsa would take those quick sketches back to her studio and transform them into finished masterpieces. Elsa created more than 300 original illustrations of deep-sea life, many including species never before observed by scientists. Her work appeared in National Geographic, museums, and scientific journals. It educated the curious, enticed new generations of explorers, and paid for her daughter's education. Elsa Bostelmann died in December of 1961. She never got the same spotlight William Beebe did, but he knew that without Elsa, his vision of the deep sea wouldn't have had the same impact. The strange, dark, and dreamlike submarine fairyland became vivid under her brush. She showed us flying snails and saber-toothed fish, coral cathedrals and bioluminescent creatures, and helped us imagine the ocean not as emptiness, but as a living, breathing world. All month, we're talking about Maritime Madams. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow.
Every case that is a cold case that has DNA right now in a backlog will be identified in our lifetime.
On the new podcast, America's Crime Lab, every case has a story to tell, and the DNA holds the truth.
He never thought he was going to get caught. And I just looked at my computer screen. I was just like, gotcha.
This technology's already solving so many cases.
Listen to America's Crime Lab on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Join iHeartRadio and Sarah Spain in celebrating the one-year anniversary of iHeart Women's Sports.
With powerful interviews and insider analysis, our shows have connected fans with the heart of women's sports. In just 1 year, the network has launched 15 shows and built a community united by passion.
Podcasts that amplify the voices of women in sports.
Thank you for supporting iHeart Women's Sports and our founding sponsors, Elf Beauty, Capital One, and Novartis.
Just open the free iHeart app and search iHeart Women's Sports to listen now.
This is an iHeart podcast.